What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to a special Sunday edition of TSR Live. My special guest this afternoon is a man who needs no introduction. He is, I think, probably one of the most hated people in dating show history. He, of course, is Shake from Love Is Blind season 2. Shake, listen, man, thank you very, very much for making time for all of us today. We really
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
yeah, sadly, I have to agree with you. I think I might be one of the most, well, we'll say most polarizing.
There
We
you
don't
go.
have to say hated. Let's go with polarizing characters.
I'll go with polarizing. So let's start from the beginning. How did you get selected for the show? Did you have to apply? Did you have to send an audition tape? How did you get onto Love Is Blind season 2?
So essentially, I got recruited on Instagram.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't looking for an experience like this. I happened to be going through a breakup at the time when I kind of got recruited. So it was
Okay.
a vulnerable time for me when I had nothing to lose that they found me. But I certainly didn't go looking for this. And from what I understand, I think that's kind of what they wanted too, at least for
Huh.
the guys. They didn't necessarily want people who were looking for an opportunity to get in front of a camera. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah, it's interesting now, and you can probably speak to this. Is it would appear, especially with really popular dating shows like Love Island, of course, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. What you end up finding, probably about mid-season, when everybody starts telling on each other, they start using that same rhetoric. XYZ person is not here for the right reasons. XYZ person had a relationship when they came here, but they just came for the clout. They already have a girlfriend or a wife or a boyfriend, and they just came to get their name and their face out there. And
mhm.
so what you're telling me is that Netflix does its very best to, I guess, avoid so-called clout chasers from pursuing you. They actually from pursuing them, they actually pursued you instead of the other way around.
Yeah, it certainly felt like they did their part to try and prevent that. And, you know, they can only do so much because
Sure.
it was revealed throughout the course of the season that people had girlfriends right before leaving for the show, or just kind of how I saw people change throughout the show. It was more consistent with somebody looking to create and preserve an image than someone trying to find love in earnest.
Okay, perfect. That makes perfect sense, and of course that contaminates the show. So, what are the pods like? Because of course we all know the format. You meet with several different women. You can't see each other. All you know is what you sound like. What is it like trying to get to know someone, even though you have no idea what they look like?
Yeah, so I'll say it was a refreshing experience. I think towards the end of the show, I made it very clear that it the overall premise doesn't work, at least not for somebody like me.
Yeah.
But it's not to say there weren't some benefits. So you're having to rely on your personality and your conversation skills,
Absolutely.
and they do help you along a little bit. They give you some prompts to bring up, just so if you're really not sure what to talk about, you can kind of, you know, have a little guidance on what are the topics that experts have deemed to be the most important things to discuss
Really?
prior to getting into a serious relationship.
Okay.
So there were long days, and it was, I took a lot away from it because
Okay.
you end up talking for 10 days just about yourself, your relationships, your past, what you're looking for, and the same for the person you're talking to or the several people you're talking to. So it almost ends up being kind of like therapy.
Wow.
I'll say the pods, I thought it was a rewarding experience.
Really?
Not necessarily guaranteed to find your wife or your husband from that sort of experience,
Of course.
but nonetheless, it was a good experience.
Cool. Wow, that's very interesting that talking to someone through a wall romantically is therapeutic. I'd never even thought about that. What about talking about yourself to another person through a wall? What about that makes it therapeutic? Because you said that was a benefit. Was that an unexpected benefit, or did you expect to have that?
It was unexpected. It was unexpected. I think a lot of it has to do with it's rare in today's world to spend this much time talking about any subject or topic. I mean, in this case, it happened to be relationships. Keep
Right.
in mind, this is, 10 days that I was away from work, away from my phone, away from all these distractions, and just had some time to deep dive. And same thing with everybody else. So we end up kind of getting to these places that it takes a while to get to,
Yeah.
we got deep.
Okay.
And if we were doing the same thing, I don't know, if this was like a 10-day yoga retreat, maybe we would have gotten to a similar place if we're really doing that kind of like self-work
Yeah.
introspection type of thing. This just happened to be a kind of a romantic version of that.
Very good. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so as we get into the pods, people are starting to couple up. I remember the very first, and I picked up on this as soon as you said it. I forgot who you said it to, but the girls started talking. Oh my God, Shake is asking, can I, if we're at a concert, can I carry you on my shoulders? I like to go shopping for girls. What size do I need to buy?
Yeah.
Now, I think I know why you ask the questions like that, but in your own words, because me, you've watched some of my stuff. I'm
Yeah.
straight up. I tell
Yeah.
these bitches, look, check this out. I don't do fat chicks. Like that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be a little bit more politically correct because you're on Netflix and of course social media, et cetera, et cetera. What was your intent in terms of asking those sort of roundabout questions?
Yeah. So I'll put it to you this way. I sincerely wanted this experience to work. I wanted to give
Okay.
myself the best possible chances of finding someone special. I've watched season 1 and I saw that the couples that worked out, not only do you work out, but then you're like this kind of like famous couple and it's like a very celebrated experience. And frankly, I wanted that for myself. And I knew that if I was put in a situation where even if I had a great a great emotional connection, there was
Mhm.
a huge miss when it came to the physical side.
Right.
That was going to be a problem, not just for me, but that's going to be a problem for the person I'm matched up with too. So
Absolutely.
I figured I would at least do my part to kind of get myself in the ballpark,
Okay.
you
All
know,
right.
and
Okay.
that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, what was your did you hear the chatter of the women about your questions on the other side of the pods, or were you not aware of this until after shooting?
Yeah, you kind of become aware of the chatter. I mean, here and there, and we're not really talking to them aside from the pods, but you talk to another girl and they may say, "Hey, I heard this, I heard that." So there was a little bit of that, but to be very honest, I wasn't the only one asking those types of questions.
Oh,
I think mine were probably like maybe the most like funny, like most bold way of going about it per se. Like, it was a little tongue in cheek kind of
sure,
the way I went about it too. Um, so other people did ask. I mean, here, I'll
sure.
just tell you right now, Ayana, I don't know if you remember
Oh,
her.
I remember
Yeah.
her very well. Yes.
So Ayana, she was stuck between Jarrett and another guy on the show, Hasib. Like she was trying to kind of pick up,
Oh,
decide her mind. And she
okay.
asked me straight up, how tall are each of them?
There you go.
So not, I mean, she didn't even beat around the bush.
Nope.
I at least like gave it a thin veil of like whatever. But she straight up asked me, but this is what it comes down to. Ayana's character on the show is that of a sweet, kind, gentle woman. So they're not going to show that.
No, of course not. Not only that, Ayana is also a woman.
Yeah.
Because let's just say that for whatever reason the producers decide to put in that Ayana footage. Hey, Shake, how tall is Jared? How tall is the other? We didn't even see the other guy on the show. I guess their connection was probably cut out. Nobody would have a problem with that, even though she straight up asked, how tall are these guys? If you say that Jarrett is, I don't know, he's probably 5'6", 5'7", guess what? Jarrett is out of the running. Nothing wrong with that. Ayanna can have her preferences all she wants to. But a guy like you trying to be tongue-in-cheek funny, hey, like if we go to a concert, can I carry you on my shoulders? Oh my God, I can't believe he asked me if I was fat. Do you see the quote-unquote double standard in that, where women are allowed to have preferences, but men, for whatever reason, are not?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a very classic example with the height,
Yes.
it's like the example
Yes.
that people use. So yeah, the overall vibe I got from the show, and I guess it was naive of me to overlook this, is
Right.
reality shows sometimes are skewed a little bit towards female viewers, female
A
audience. So
little bit.
a little bit.
We've got some questions. If you ever are on Love Is Blind again, I guess these are some questions you could ask. Probably won't do you any favors, but do you go to the gym? That would be an interesting question. You'd probably be canceled right off of the show. J Blaze 11 says, "Can you fit in a roller coaster?" That's a good one. Geeky Anomaly. Now this is not Shake asking these, so for all of you idiots out there, oh my God, Shake, no. Can you fly on an airplane with no extra charge?
Oh my God.
2 seats. Do you need a seatbelt extender, right?
Oh, geez.
Again, these are very direct questions, but Ayanna was able to ask you, hey, how tall are these guys? Now, the other guy, Hasib, was he shorter or taller than Jarrett?
He's a tall guy.
Oh, okay.
They're both, Jarrett's not short either, right? So
of course.
it ended up not even being an issue.
Okay.
But the fact that she asked and didn't get called out for it, I think that's the bigger
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, that is definitely the bigger thing. So before we get into the nitty gritty, talk about the racial component of dating in the West as an Indian man. I remember the conversations that you had, and we'll get into deeps here in a second, but I remember, and because my tattoo artist, he tatted me all up. He used to talk to me all the time about how even westernized Indians are very, very big on marrying within your race. How much pressure was there on you to choose an Indian girl, or was there any pressure at all?
Do you mean on the show, or do you mean in my life?
In your life and on the show, actually.
Yeah. So, I haven't felt much pressure. I've been lucky.
Okay.
I'm very, very, I'm an only child. I'm close with my parents.
Okay.
Very open with them. Something interesting about my parents. So they actually didn't have an arranged marriage, which at their, at the time of, their dating, and still to this day, arranged marriage is very, very, very common. So back then it was probably 90% of marriages. Now it's still probably like 60 or 70 traditionally in India. Right.
Yeah.
So they already kind of bucked the trend, and they had this, what's called a love marriage, where you marry, it's
for love,
right? So they, then moving to this country and kind of assimilating to the culture here, and me being the stubborn person I've been my whole life, and just kind of, well, more than stubborn, I'd say I like to think of myself as an independent thinker. I like to take the facts and form my own opinion rather than do what everyone else is doing, type of thing. And they, they were like, hey, this is your life, and do what you want to do. And they, I've dated girls throughout my life. Here's a fact. I have dated Indian girls in the past. I don't know how that kind of came out on the show, where it was like, I've never, ever, ever dated an Indian girl. That's not true.
Okay.
But I'm pretty equal opportunity, honestly. It's who do I vibe with the most? Who do I have that connection with the most? In the past, it has been more blonde girls. I don't know why. Opposites attract. It's just they chose me too. It's not like it was a one-way street.
Real talk. Right? You and I have the same ailment, Shake, because I too am very fond of blondes. So
yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, sir. The fact that your parents didn't put pressure on you to date or avoid certain kinds of women, What kind of impact does that have on you, if any? Because I'm telling you, me as a black man, my mother put all the pressure in the world on me to date and marry a black woman.
Mhm.
We know that a lot of Indian men and women are pressured by for better or worse. Listen, your parents want what's best for you, but how freeing was it for you to have the blessing of your parents to say, hey, look, you know what? It doesn't matter what race, wherever she comes from, so long as she makes you happy, we're happy.
Mhm. Yeah, it's something I really took for granted as I kind of progressed through my life and
Yeah.
realized that I'm in the minority of people. It's a
Yes.
privilege to
Yes.
have parents that are so open and free like that. And in contrast, take a look at Deepti.
Yeah.
She also dated outside her race
Right.
for most of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is she had to keep it a secret from her parents.
Wow.
She had never ever brought a guy home. So they didn't even have any idea that she was dating anybody, right?
Holy
So I think that also kind of speaks to, differences in our character, right?
Mhm.
Here I am, I'm an open book,
Right.
if I'm dating somebody, if I'm interested in somebody, if my parents ask, I'm completely willing to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, on Deepti's side of things, she's literally having to lie.
Yeah.
And she's no stranger to lying. I'll put it to you that way,
Oh, wow. Okay.
no stranger to kind of like playing into one side of the story, no stranger into kind of framing things a certain way for her benefit.
Okay.
And I think her natural talent in doing that served her really well on the show. And my, my like golden retriever type attitude where I'm
Sure.
just like happy go lucky,
Right.
an open book. I don't think it served me well at all.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Because I don't think I know how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 33.
Oh, you're a freaking kid. Okay, very good. Even though you're a veterinarian, you're still very young. This is, I'm sure you don't have to, you don't need me to tell you this. Women are master manipulators. They are the masters of deception, and they are very adept at spinning a narrative. When you have that, plus the production staff at Netflix also trying to spin a narrative, it's no wonder why you're the one who came out looking like a bad guy. And we'll get into some of the misdirection that you're referring to, but let's go ahead and get into the connection between you and Deeps. So we all saw it right before our very eyes. You guys had a connection. You guys clearly talked a lot. You guys talked a lot about your families. You talked a lot about how in the Indian culture, it's not frowned upon if you do kind of get together. Is the fact that Deeps was Indian, did that make her more attractive to you, or did you just have a really good connection with her?
It's not just the fact that she was Indian. It was more like I had found somebody who understood my own story,
Okay.
because I had dated a lot of white girls. She's
Mm-hmm.
dated white guys.
Mm-hmm.
We were both actually born in India
Oh,
and,
wow.
came to America when we were young.
Okay.
We liked similar music. We liked going out. We kind of had similar stories.
Okay.
I think you kind of get what I'm saying here.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and I'd never met somebody with such a similar story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain kind of ways of thinking that you develop when you have a story like that
Right.
it's hard to explain to another person. And here was a person that I didn't have to explain those things to.
Wow.
So I felt a strong connection there. And keep in mind, this is a connection through a pod, right?
Yes.
So it's a limited connection. It's a connection nonetheless,
Sure.
but it felt strong. And there was an understanding there that I certainly wasn't going to get from anybody else
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So I think a pod situation lends itself beautifully to some incredible connections. They don't necessarily have to be marriage connections.
Sure. Right. Exactly. So what went through your mind? Now, there were two firsts for you. There were three firsts for you in terms of Deeps. It was the first time you talked to her, the first time you saw her for the first time, and the first time you saw her in a swimsuit. Let's go to the second time you saw her for the first time. So the doors slide open. You've already proposed. She said yes. The doors slide open. What is your first impression when she walks out?
Okay. So at this point, I've formed this incredible connection with Deeps. I proposed to her. She's on my mind 24/7, right?
Wow.
It's been at least 24 hours since I actually proposed, and it's all built up in my head. And here I am finally seeing this person. I have no idea what she looks like. And this is the person I'm going to marry.
Right.
So I'm in a suit, like I'm dressed, to the nines. She's, she's all glammed out. Those doors open, the lights are on, there's a red carpet, there's like 20 cameras, and it's a lot. Like the fireworks were going off in my head. I'll put it to you that way. Okay. So I hadn't been around girls for, like 2 weeks now. Like it's just me and these guys hanging out. So I see her and I liked what I saw. I thought she was beautiful, and everything was like, it was the perfect setup, right? Sure. It was for that experience, and the production did everything they could to like amp that up too. So at that moment, it was a pure moment. So what you saw there was me very happy. We got physical right away. We were kissing, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And it didn't last for more than 15 minutes.
Okay.
Before we're separated, and then we don't see each other for about 3 days. Next time we see each other is in Mexico as we're walking into our suite.
Yes.
So at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm getting married. I mean, I was like, this is my person. We had this connection, and then I see her, and keep in mind, it's like, I'll put it to you this way. It's like when you see a girl at the club when, like, you're out and you're drinking and like they're all dressed up and like the lights are not like bright, like you get what I'm saying? Dude, I know exactly. Like I don't want to take it too far, but like sure. you're like, yeah, this girl's hot. Like, yeah, sweet. You know what I mean? And then it's like, and then you never see them again, or like so in your mind you're like, that girl was freaking hot.
Yeah, right.
But it's not real. It's like a very
almost like an Instagram filter, right?
Kind of, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so you guys are you haven't seen each other for 3 days. You get to the suite, the cameras are rolling, you're out in this gorgeous pool, and Deeps walks out for the very first time in a swimsuit. What were your thoughts when you saw her in a swimsuit for the very first time?
I saw her in the swimsuit, and I was just in my mind, I'm like, okay. I was like, all right, swimsuit, it's like a vulnerable moment. Absolutely. For anybody.
Yeah.
And the cameras are there, and I'm like, at this point, honestly, my brain's just like processing. It's like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay. Like there's a lot of stimulation going on. I didn't know what to think just yet.
Okay.
I mean, and it also kind of complicates things because girlfriends I've had in the past, I mean, I've been kind of spoiled, I mean, I've
haven't we all?
Some great girls had, and like my girlfriend before Deeps, she had a 6-pack. You know what I mean? Wow. Like not to say that even like I don't like have to have that. A girl does not have to have a 6-pack for me to be attracted to her. Not at all. But like I'm just, that's that was my most recent girl I was with, and like a tiny blonde girl with a 6-pack, like great shape, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. So here I am, and I'm like, okay, it's not necessarily the most attractive I've ever been to anybody, but I got this emotional connection. I gotta try. I'm like slapping myself. I'm like, no, you gotta give this a shot. You made this connection. You're here, and you clearly it didn't work for you in the past. You might be doing something wrong. Like, give it a shot. That's kind of what's going through my head. Okay,
very good. So you're like, okay, you know what? Not the most attractive woman body, because in the face she's beautiful. She has a very, very pretty face. Not the most attractive body wise, and you really, really did try. When was the moment where, because I remember the very first time we saw you start to voice concerns is when you and Jarrett were talking. You're like, Jarrett, Deeps and I, we have this great connection, but I'm just not feeling the sexual attraction. When was the aha moment for you where you said, uh-oh, I might be in trouble here. I don't know that I can get to the place sexually where we need to be to
Yeah.
live together happily ever after in holy matrimony.
So, we were talking about the pool scene when I first saw her,
Yeah,
but then, they want you in the pool and they want you like kissing on each other and they want that like romantic interaction. And
of course.
this is our first time ever even like with each other,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
aside from when we first met. And they want us to be like intimate, like we're like super into each other. And that's when when we're like in the pool and like hugging and kissing and stuff. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh boy. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
You're like,
Like,
I'm in
I
trouble.
need some time to just figure this stuff out.
Okay.
And, I'm not a great actor. I'll tell you that too. I
No, you're not.
no.
As a matter of fact, Apollo on the Sharp Stream side, this is another chat that I have. It says, we saw his facial expression seeing her in a swimsuit. I won't talk too badly about her, but we know he was like, yikes.
Yeah. And it's all subjective, right? Like, people have different types, people have different priorities, and that's all I could say about it. I'm not gonna say anything bad about her outright. It's just
Sure.
it's a preference thing. You
I'll
know
put
what I
this.
mean?
I'll put this to you, Shake, and maybe you can tell people that you know and love the same thing. Yes, we all have our preferences, right? You and I, we happen to like blondes. I like blondes with large breasts and shapely asses. Some people like redheads with small. Some people don't care. Some people like certain features. But Shake, fundamentally, when it comes down to it, any man who has a healthy sexual appetite doesn't have any crazy stupid hangups. We want a woman whose body is not loose in areas where it shouldn't be. That's the bottom line. I used to be severely overweight myself. I was at over 312 pounds. I'm very, very fortunate that I don't have a bunch of loose skin or anything like that. And I imagine that's probably because I don't know, like you could look at Deeps and you could tell that there were some parts of her bathing suit that were sort of holding things in. So while we can say, listen, everybody has their preferences. Okay, you're right about that. But Shake, we need to be sexually attracted to our women. And when it comes down to it, I don't care what anybody says. Most men understand on a fundamental level, even though we all have different types, we know a sexually attractive woman when we see one, and we know what we don't like. And Deep, unfortunately for her, she's in that gray area. She's not obese. She's not too far overweight, but there are parts of her body that will not recover from her weight gain from back when she was in her early 20s. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of captured a lot of that. I don't
Okay.
think it needs to be repeated.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just I'll give you a nod for that.
Okay.
One.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. So I got a question from one of our chatters. He wants to know, is the show rigged? That seems to be the universal criticism of dating shows, is that it's rigged. They want you to say and do certain things. That's all scripted. We know it is to a certain extent, but to what extent is the show scripted in terms of a person's free will?
Mm-hmm. I'll put it to you this way. Nobody gives you like a line to say.
Okay.
But they will a lot of times ask you a question over and over until they kind of get you to say something in the ballpark of what they want.
Okay.
For a soundbite. Like I know one of the criticisms that I got was, I told everybody but her that, I wasn't feeling it.
Yes.
And that's categorically false.
Okay.
I told her first, that night we had in the pool and everything.
Yes.
That night, and then the next morning I said, hey, like this is the hang up I'm having, like we're having fun. Like, I'm not saying I'm trying to leave right now or anything.
Okay.
Because at that point she's like also like a close friend of mine, right? And you don't want to like, it's an insulting thing to say, hey, this isn't gonna work. Bye.
Right.
I didn't want that to be the thing for us.
Right. Okay. How did you respond when you told her that?
I think she kind of took it like, okay, like let's ride this out. Like, I think she appreciated the fact that I wasn't, like Shayna and Kyle, like Shayna like dipped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think she appreciated that I wasn't going to do that at the time. But the point I'm getting at here is I told her first, and then throughout the show, the producers will kind of ask you to talk about like, hey, what's going on with your relationship?
Uh-huh.
Like, why don't you two talk about this? Like
Okay.
you and Jarrett talk about your relationship.
Okay.
So then, I end up telling Jarrett, and that's the scene you saw.
Yes.
And then like a whole nother scene, maybe, when we're back in Chicago, Shake, we want you to sit here and talk about the relationship.
Okay.
So I'm like basically prompted to talk about that same issue again. It's
Mhm.
not as though I'm like going around telling anybody who will listen. It's
Right.
like they're asking me to talk about it here.
Okay.
And in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe they're not sure which scene they're going to actually use. Maybe they'll use the one in Mexico. Maybe they'll use the one here. For me, they ended up using like a bunch of them, which made
Okay.
me look really stupid, you know?
It made you look very, very bad. And
Yeah.
what, and I'm sure you understand this by now. At least if you didn't, you do now. Men are constantly shamed for having preferences that most men don't meet, that most women don't meet. Most women in this country, I'm sure you're aware, they're overweight. Jake, they're overweight. American women, dude, they're the fattest women in the world. And so there's this rhetoric, oh, you should love women at every size, blah, 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 blah. I got news for you, Shake. There's no such thing as a plus size male model, right? There was even a meme winner, or there was one study. I don't like studies, but plus size women don't like overweight men. Oh, wait a minute. So they're plus size women, but you can't call us plus size men. We got to be, you can't call them overweight women. What are your thoughts on the body, on the body positivity double standard that exists for women and not men?
Yeah. I mean, it's a double standard. I mean,
Yeah.
that just summed up. I mean, there's not much more I have to kind of elaborate on that. I mean, a double standard in itself means it's an unfair situation. The interesting thing is I have friends and acquaintances that kind of fall into the plus size category or the plus size model. And, these are all people that I like and respect. So I have nothing outright bad to say about them. I also don't think that us as men, we're not really dying for a plus size male movement.
No,
You know what I
we're
mean?
not. And we should.
Yeah. So it's really no skin off my nose that there isn't one. Maybe, I might feel differently if I was maybe a bit chubbier, but I think we're lucky as men that we kind of are at an advantage in a lot of ways as it is.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So it's like a guy that's a little bit more husky, shall we say, can
Mhm.
still get a really hot petite
girl.
girl.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
So,
exactly.
I think it's just, there is a double standard, but at the end of the day, I think we're still coming out on top. So
I agree. I agree. For all of the disadvantages that men have on today's dating market, because when we're in our late teens, early 20s, I don't know about you, I was a fucking loser. I was skinny, I was gangly, I wasn't really that good with girls. Then when I hit my early mid to late 30s, dude, I'm slaying hoes. I used to live in Vegas. I was slaying hoes all over the place. And the deal is this, is that men, we have to build value. Women simply have to preserve it. You worked your ass off to become a vet. You're 33 years old. You're a veterinarian, which I'm told is even tougher to be than being a doctor because you have multiple anatomies to have to be an expert at. Yet women, and this is no slight against women, this is just how it is. Women don't really have to do much of anything to have their pick of the litter in terms of the men that they have to choose from. All they have to do is not get fat and don't be a hoe. For men, it's a little bit different, and it should be. But just like you said, I think men, we're at an advantage because this is what we're built for. Were you surprised at how the producers edited the show to make, because I think they edited the show to make you look like the bad guy. Do you think that that's what they did? And if
Oh
so,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a fantastic time filming the show.
Okay.
It was like a nonstop party to me. I had a great time.
Okay.
Deeps and we had a fantastic time.
Yeah.
We weren't romantic. We
Okay.
were not. We weren't. But it's like living with your like best friend,
Right.
and at that time
Right.
she, we were very, very close, and we were living together and we were filming together and just having a kick-ass time. all the way through the wedding, right? The wedding, which was like this like dramatic thing where she's like crying with her mom. That's not how it went down. We had a party. Like we were
Afterwards?
drinking on my friend's yacht till 5 a.m. So me, my
Ow.
groomsmen, her bridal party. I invited them. It was my friend. I invited them all out. We were all there partying, hanging out, like kick-ass time. We had a
What?
huge party. We had so much fun. And
Ow.
the way they edited it, obviously, is very, very different.
Yes.
And she played into that, which upset me.
Boy.
You know, she knew that it was to her advantage to go along with that storyline,
Yeah.
knowing full well that I took great care of her throughout the time we were together. I wasn't talking to any other girls. I said, hey, right now, this is my fiance. I'm not going to marry her. I knew that.
Right.
But this is my person, and I'm not gonna go talk to other girls or, you know, this and that. I'm gonna see this through, and then whatever happens after is fair game. But there was no appreciation for that.
Wow.
You know, so I felt good about everything until the show came out, and then I was pissed.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's the first thing that pissed you off about the show when it came out?
You know, there was a couple things here and there. Mostly, I thought it was hilarious because even throughout the filming, I had a tough time really taking it seriously. Like
Okay.
for me, everything was funny. Everything was like a fun situation, and I knew it was funny because the camera people, the lighting people, whoever, they were all cracking up. Like I'd just be joking around. Like I like to think of myself as like a witty guy. And like I'm just saying stuff and everyone is laughing. So I'm like, okay, this is going well. This is going well. So even when the show came out, like me and my friends, even the like controversial stuff, it's hilarious, right? Like my line where I'm like grabbing the booty. It's a funny thing. Like it's funny. So mostly it was funny. And the one thing that really upset me was the wedding, because that was so different from the reality of it.
Okay.
With her like sobbing and like, so let me tell you how it really went down. So on the show, you see her say no, and then you know she walks off. So when that happens, I address the attendees, our guests, and I say, hey guys, we're here to celebrate love. And that's what we're actually going to do. We're not celebrating a marriage, but we formed a deep connection, and we're so happy that you're all here. And today's not a sad day. Today's a happy day. So let's party. And I start clapping.
You could not have handled, listen, man, you could not have handled that any better. To me, the way you handled being left at the altar, you were a class act. You weren't bitter. You weren't scorned. You were, dare I say, relieved. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Well, you know, what I was just about to say is that whole speech I gave the audience or the guests, they cut that out on the show, and they cut just to, it's a party. And then they like show some people going like, wow. So they like make it look like, you know, like I'm like trying to manufacture a party during a sad occasion, but it was genuinely a happy occasion. It was genuinely a fun thing, you know.
Just to be clear, after the wedding, your homeboys, the groomsmen, Deeps, and the bridesmaids, you all had a good time and partied on the yacht till 5 o'clock in the morning. Everything was cool. So you and Deeps and everybody else, you guys had a good time. So it was not this somber, sad thing. You guys, after the wedding, after she quote unquote left you at the altar, you guys were cool.
We were cool. And then you know that famous line of mine, oh, I got a reservation at Nobu. Whatever. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, again, taken out of context, that reservation was with Deeps. We made that reservation. Wow. So we're like, okay, once the craziness of this wedding dies down, we're going to go to Nobu and just like have a good time. And that's what we did. So like, how much could this person hate me? How much could we hate each other at that point if we were literally chilling at Nobu days after?
Oh my God. Ay, 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 ay. So here's a question. Did Deeps save you from marriage by saying no before you? Because I remember watching it and breaking it down in real time. I was thinking to myself, I did not know that you were going to have the balls to tell her no. I was like, you know what? We all know Shake doesn't want to marry this chick, but I didn't think you had the balls or the heart to tell her no. And I think the producers knew that too. I could be wrong. That's why they chose to ask Deeps first. So what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
So here's the deal with that. And this is something that right when the show came out, I think I would have gotten myself into some hot water for talking about openly, but it's been a few months now.
Okay.
So I'll just tell it like it is.
Okay.
I told Deeps, please, if they ask you first, you got to say no, because I'm not going to say yes.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
Okay. And then I requested to the producers the same thing.
Okay.
I said, hey, have her go first.
Okay.
Because let's face it, it's going to be much easier for me to take that than her. And you know, I knew full well. I was like, you know what? I'll be the I was looking out for her.
Still looking out for her. You said, I'll be the bad guy. I'll fall on the sword for her.
It's because I was looking out for her that I am so hurt by how she like ran with this like victim mentality. Like it's because of that I'm like on truly bad terms with her now. It's because of that. And that wedding episode was first shown to me the night before the reunion was filmed. So the wedding episode wasn't out yet. They just showed it to us. They're like, all right, here's a sneak preview just so you kind of like know what, you know, before the reunion, like what how the season ends. So I went into that reunion like upset.
Yeah.
You know?
Too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So again, just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, you told Deeps the night before the wedding, look, you have to say no because I'm not going to say yes. You go to the producers, you're like, look, I'm not going to marry her. Okay. So I'll fall on the sword. Ask her so that she can say no. I'll fall on the sword. I'll be the quote unquote bad guy. Deeps understood that you were trying to protect her because here's the thing, Shake. If they ask you first and you say no, then that makes her look bad. And you understood this. So he said, you know what? Look, I'll be the guy to take the L in public. She can turn me down and it's all good. But even though you did what you thought was right by taking all the slings and arrows, you said she leaned into this and played up to this, which leads me to the reunion show. So you see this thing, and I couldn't get through the reunion show. Just like I told you off the air, I couldn't get through it because I could not, dude. I was about to freaking punch my screen here. But that's for another day and time. But I remember how Deeps looked so upset and so pissed. Yeah, because I'm not some small blonde. I'm like, is this chick really doing this? And now you're on bad terms with Deeps. Talk about you said earlier, we'll tie this all together. You said that she's no stranger to lying or misleading. How did Deep lean into the narrative despite what you did to try to take care of her publicly?
Well, I guess the simplest way of putting it is no acknowledgement between us nor, you know, let alone publicly that I was a decent guy to her throughout that process,
of course,
and that I took good care of her, and that, you know, through the wedding we had fun and had a good time together, and that I wasn't, you know, like some asshole. And then after that, you know what happened? It kind of became kind of like a Mean Girls club throughout our cast. And Deep D was kind of the ringleader of that. And you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it during the reunion.
Yeah. Well,
that, you know, and they're kind of like smirking and like mumbling amongst themselves.
Yes. Oh my
and here's the thing. The rest of the cast, the guys, are such a bunch of simps that they would like follow the girls' direction. Like anything the girls were doing, they would just kind of go along with that. They didn't want to displease the girls. They didn't want to get on the bad side of the girls. It's like they were afraid of the girls.
Yes.
So come the reunion, you can see the simping happening on the screen.
I'll tell you when I turned. I'll tell you when I turned, because I broke down the season from beginning to end. I'll tell you when I turned off the reunion. When Shane is babbling about whatever he's babbling about, and you're trying to say something, and Shane's like, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. I'm like, oh, okay. So now this son of a bitch who Shake was supposed to be tight with, now all of a sudden he's gonna break ranks to appease somebody. Like,
Exactly.
dude, Shake, that pissed me off. Like, dude, these are his homeboys. Now all of a sudden, now that the cameras are on, you guys are gonna sit here and pretend that he didn't take care of this chick. Now all of a sudden, you guys are pro woman. That's when I turned it off, man.
Exactly. No, that's a great read. That's a perfect read, because Shane, I think we all know he has his own share of issues. Okay.
Sure.
We don't have to dig too far into that. It's pretty obvious.
Of course.
But I took care of that guy too. Like, he would show up at my place, need a place to crash.
Sure.
Like, I'd have to go pick him up from certain places before, where he just needed me to be there. And he was so quick to do exactly what you said.
Turned on you, man.
That, I knew then, I'm like, all right, I'm on my own here. And everybody here is going to try and preserve their image. And they're like, okay, Deeps has come out as like this, I don't know, like the golden
figure.
Yeah, exactly. She's like the golden girl. So they all kind of like jump on Team Deeps to try and preserve their own image.
This is unfortunately, Shake. You'll have to wrap your head around this, and you'll learn this as time goes on. Women will close ranks to keep men in the dark about their true nature, whereas men, we consistently break ranks to try to impress females we will likely never sleep with. You lived with these guys. You guys had similar experiences, and all it took was the perception. Those guys were behind the scenes with you. They knew what the hell was going on, and they still turned on you. This is you're going to have to understand that this is the state of the Western man. We can't even have each other's backs. Women have so many. There's nothing that women can do in this country that men can't, or that they don't have the right to do. And women always have everybody on their side, the narrative, all that stuff. But then when men jump on the bandwagon, when they jump ship, there's almost no hope.
It's true. Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable, dude. So let me ask you this. What was the wait a minute. Here's another question. Did Shake get to see what the other women that didn't make it to an engagement looked like before seeing the show?
Did I meet the other?
Yeah. Did you meet any other?
Yeah. I met them all, and they were cool. You know, even at the end of the day, I'll say this: of that selection of women, Deeps and I had the strongest connection. Sadly, there wasn't a physical connection there.
Right. Okay.
But I still until the show came out and I saw her like true colors, I really liked her. Like, I didn't want to marry her. I didn't want to sleep with her. But I had a great deal of fondness for her, for the experience that we shared together, So, yeah.
Wow. Imagine that. So you're not the worst human on the planet. Go figure. I remember when everyone appeared to turn on you on the reunion, at the reunion, our least favorite couple, at least my audience's least favorite couple, was Nick and Danielle. Now, you don't have to talk about them, but I will. Danielle is fucking crazy. She is a fucking lunatic. Nick is going to pull out all of his hair, because this woman does not know how to exist in a state of non-chaos. Are you still cool with Nick and Danielle? What's your relationship with those two?
I lost respect for everybody after that reunion. I haven't maintained a friendship with anybody. It was what you guys saw happen. That's that's as close to reality as it gets. That was like the realest part of the whole show was that. And it's funny because Shane, he knew that he screwed up. He knew he threw me under the bus. Yeah. So he started reaching out with all these thirsty messages. He started, because what happened? Eventually, the girls dropped him too. he was trying to appease the women.
Oh boy, it never works. It never works. You try to appease.
It never works because they lost respect for him. When you try to appease somebody, not just a woman, but when you're trying too hard to appease somebody, you're giving away your self-respect, and they're not going to respect you either. So that's exactly what happened to him. And once that happened, then he realized the mistake he made, because if he stuck with me, I would have had his back.
Of course.
Like I had in the past. But, I was like, sorry, bro. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do for you now. Like, it's kind of too late.
Is there an opportunity? Because I don't think, and you probably agree with this, I don't think Shane's a bad guy. I think that Shane is, now this is my opinion, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure Shane is probably an alcoholic. And it appears that he had some issues with his mother and his father, I think, who's no longer with us. So Shane's got his demons. And we all deal with our demons differently. Whether or not even if he is an alcoholic, that doesn't mean he's a bad person.
No.
And he threw you under the bus and this and that and the other. Do you think that, and you don't have to answer this, but over time, if in another year and a half, Shane says, hey, look, dude, I realize I fucked up. Is there a chance for any reconciliation between you and some of the other male guests, or is it over with? Is it done?
Shane would have been the one person that I would have tried to repair things with.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're describing right now, that's already taken place. He's made those apologies.
Okay.
And I'll put it to you this way. I don't do fourth and fifth chances.
Sure.
Okay. It came to the point where he apologized. I was in town. I was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, man, like, trust me, I wanted to put water under the bridge too, because I liked the guy.
Yeah.
Right. I said, all right, man, I'm busy. I'm packing up my condo, whatever. But if you want to meet me, we can 10 a.m. We can be, at this spot. Like I would look forward to seeing you. I want to put this behind us. Okay. The night before, I'm having a great time out with my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, I got to call it an early night. Tomorrow I'm meeting Shane. There's other things I want to do. I rearrange my schedule for this guy. He ghosts me. Doesn't answer his phone all day. Like, doesn't even respond. So then I'm back in Miami, and another week or so goes by. He doesn't even have the decency to message me. He messages a friend of mine saying, hey man, I messed up with Shake, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, like, what am I going to do? Come on, man. Like, how many, and that wasn't the last time. I gave him one more chance after that. And it was it was letdown after letdown. And it comes to the point where I can't keep giving up my energy for this guy.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I know he has his demons and he's not a bad guy.
Right.
I genuinely wish him the best.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be the guy to, like,
Yeah, you gave him chance after chance after chance, and he continued to. I had no idea that all of that had already occurred multiple times. That is, and you still get this just in, ladies and gentlemen. Shake is a good guy. Who knew? Who knew? Unbelievable, man. Yeah, the way the media portrayed you're some devil. Oh my God, he only likes blondes and this and that and the other. Fucking sue me. I like blondes too. You guys can all go fuck yourselves. Sir Hale Speaks Network with the $10 super chat says respect to Donovan Sharp. Appreciate that. DJ BFit with the $5 super chat says Shake, you have a community of brothers who got your back. And Shake, do you have a channel? Don, love the interview and your work. Keep hustling, fam. Shake does have an Instagram, and it is, I think it's at the Puppy Doc.
The Puppy Doc.
Okay,
yeah.
Puppy Doc. Okay. Very, very good.
Yeah. I have a podcast too called Life is Blurry that, we're doing interviews just like this. I'd love to have you on, actually, Donovan, on my own. Cool. I have your buddy Richard Cooper coming on. We're recording on Monday, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah, listen, I'm available. This is what I do for a living. I'm available for you anytime, man. You just reach out to me and I'm there.
Yeah.
That is very, very cool, man. I'm glad you decided to do something.
Yeah. I was hoping, Donovan, I could kind of just fill you in on my life since the show. Because,
I was actually going to ask what happened after the show.
Like, they hated on me so much. They're like, this guy's never going to find love. Like this, blah, blah, blah. And like, I found myself in a very, very happy relationship. I mean, I do. Yeah. I found my dream girl Yes, she
Okay.
is blonde. Yes, I could pick her up and put her on my shoulders. Oh yeah, there she is. Yeah. And that's her best friend Shannon there too. So,
Yo, real
um,
talk. I'm just gonna pull these up while you're talking.
oh
Yeah, Shake, you win, dude.
yeah,
You
no,
win.
I'm very happy. And, when you come on our podcast, I know Emily will have some questions for you as well,
Sure.
and would love to meet you. But she likes that I'm bold. She likes that I go for what I want unapologetically.
Good.
And I think, frankly, I'm not a relationship coach, but I think that's what a lot of women want. They want
Yes.
men that go for what it is that they want. They take it, and they aren't shy about it. As long as they're being respectful and no one's
Absolutely.
getting hurt.
Dude, Emily's hot, dude. She's hot, man.
Thank
Good
you.
freaking job.
She is hot.
How did you meet her, by the way? How'd you meet her?
So I met her at a pool party. Actually, I met her at a pool party here in Miami,
Okay.
and she hadn't seen the show.
Okay.
She, we just ended up kind of chatting,
Okay.
and one thing led to another, and now we live together here in Miami. So
You're in Miami?
yeah, I live in Miami now.
Shake, dude. I'm in Miami once a month at least, man.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah, we're gonna have to link.
Dude, have you ever heard of the Fresh and Fit podcast?
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's like a pretty legendary podcast.
Yes, the guy who hosts that, Myron Gaines, one of my best friends. I'm actually the first channel he ever made an appearance on. I talked to
Really?
him, dude. You've heard of Kevin Samuels?
Yeah, of course.
Kevin Samuels was also one of my very best friends. I had him on my channel almost 50 times. I was very, very close with Kevin, very close with Byron. And I think that Myron, he would love to have you on the show, but I'm in Miami all the time. So we definitely got to link up.
Absolutely. 100%.
Good, man. Dude, this is great. It is a very small world. So what is it about Emily other than the fact that she's blonde, which to me, that's qualification number one. Of course, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. What is it about Emily that drew you to her?
It's a few different things. So first of all, she's very ambitious and intelligent, which, has always been a prerequisite for me.
Okay.
She's in finance and in cryptocurrency. And
There we go.
without her, I wouldn't have been able to launch my own Web3 project. And because of the context she's been able to give me, she's extremely personable, outgoing. She, you know what? She owns her shit,
Yeah, right.
She's not afraid to be herself, own her sexuality, own her, appearance.
Mhm.
And I don't know, she's fantastic. She's very nurturing, loving, affectionate, feminine.
Yes.
She's very, very feminine. She knows how to be in her feminine. And I like to say that I'm a pretty masculine guy myself.
Of course.
And
Absolutely.
there's that healthy polarity there that kind of binds us.
This is the greatest tweet of all tweets. It is you between your girlfriend and her best friend.
Yeah.
And the caption is "Love is blonde." Oh my God. I sent that to my girlfriend. I was like, yo, you gotta see this tweet from Shake. Dude, this is the absolute best troll. And of course you still see that people are see, your mind is so messed up, man. Why? Because I like ones. Yeah, whatever. I hope you have a daughter and one day shows you exactly how hurtful you can be when it comes to your outlook and respect for women in general, not just blonde. She'll come home reaping karma from what you have done on national television. I'm sorry, Shake. I wasn't aware that you committed any crimes. Are you?
Right? Honestly.
God, these people, Jesus. So let me ask you questions about the other couples. And I guess we'll just make this sort of our lightning round here. Did Nick make a mistake by marrying Danielle? Yes or no?
I wouldn't say he made a mistake. I think they both, even though Danielle's issues got played up the most, Nick's got his own issues. I mean, he's a pretty, he's messed up in his own ways.
Okay.
And I think, frankly, I really think their demons play well together.
Okay.
I don't think I could date a girl like Danielle, but
Jesus.
Like I said, Nick's got his own things to deal with.
Okay, very good. Ayanna and Jarrett, what's your prediction for them? Or do you think they'll make a good couple?
Yeah, they seem pretty solid. You know, from my interactions with them, I think they've really committed to each other.
Okay.
I know Jarrett's much more of a party animal than Ayana is.
Yes, of course.
You know, I'm a little upset with both couples, obviously, you know, for how things went down on the reunion, especially considering just a month before that, we were all at Danielle's parents' lake house and we were all having a great time. And, you know, that it's a little upsetting to see people change after the show came out.
I can't believe
but
it, man.
I really don't have anything awful to say about them, you know? Yeah.
Okay, very good. DJ BFit $1.99 says Donovan and Shake on Fresh and Fit. That is must-see TV. Look, we are absolutely going to make that happen.
Let's do it.
I think that's
absolutely
going to be freaking awesome. Let's talk about some of the peripheral couples because we're rounding third and heading for home here. Shayna and Kyle. So you mentioned that a little. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. Shayna just was never attracted to Kyle. We saw the show. Shayna was clearly interested in Shane. Shane was also interested in Shayna, but Natalie made the better move, and you know, Natalie and Shane ended up, you know, going through their thing. Talk to me about what happened between Shayna and Kyle, other than the obvious.
Yeah, I think the obvious sums it up pretty well. You know, it was a situation where Shayna probably stayed on the show in order to see if she could get a shot at Shane.
Yes, there we go.
Kyle, on the other hand, I think, yes, he was into Shayna, but I think to him, the overarching goal was more just to stay on the show, period.
Okay.
You know, Kyle is one of the guys that I have lost a lot of respect for, too. Probably maybe the most as far as the guys go.
Okay.
The whole Shayna thing, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, you wanted to stay on the show, but so did she. So if you guys both get to like hang out on the show a little bit longer, like, okay, no harm done. But when he came out at the reunion and said, you know what, Shake, you messed it up for everybody. I should have gotten engaged to Deeps. I was like, bro, you are literally just saying that to like for clout. Like, there's no other way to, you know, put it. 100% for clout.
I did not even see. I didn't get that far. So this dude told you, Kyle said on the reunion, that you messed it up for everybody because he's the one that should have been engaged with Deeps.
Yeah, yeah. And I said right back, well, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, she's right there.
I'm happy to facilitate, is what I said. I was like, go for it, man.
I bet
like, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to stop you. You know, who am I to stand, you know, in between the two of you?
Oh my God. This is I did not know that. I wish I could have. I have a temper problem, like a diagnosed temper problem.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes me the absolute angriest is when men turn against other men for the purpose of impressing a woman. There's something in me that just snaps. And when Shane started his shenanigans, I was like, you know what? I'm going to end up destroying my studio. Right. I'm going to back off of this. I had no idea it was that bad, man.
So Kyle didn't do it to impress Deeps. Kyle did it to impress the viewers, you know? Because I don't know if you followed them post-show. Probably not, you know, obviously as closely as I did, but they literally faked a whole relationship for clout.
What?
Kyle and Deeps, they faked a relationship on social media for several months.
I remember seeing an article on YouTube that talked about Kyle and Deeps being engaged.
Yeah, no. They never even dated. They've never even hooked up. It's all fake. And actually, I called them out on another podcast I was on, and then that kind of made its way around the internet. And now the two of them, like, you know, the jig is up. But how disingenuous is that to literally like tease this relationship just to like, you know, try and keep people more interested in them?
Why would they, Shake? Why would they do that? Like, to what end? What does that accomplish?
Oh, it just kept them relevant. You know, people were on a show together, and then now they ended up together. And the funny thing is, you know, this not exactly the same thing that happened to me, but something similar. Now that this is all over, Kyle is not welcome hanging out with that group of friends either.
Oh my God. So
because remember, Deeply, you know, she's like playing Mean Girls over there. So
Oh my God, this is insane. July 5th says, this interview has totally changed my perception of Shake. The show made him look so horrible. TV editors are the devil. Man.
Hey, they know how to make good TV.
Yes, they do.
They definitely put together an entertaining season.
So I'm sure you saw Love is Blind season 1. And I thought we were going to, because it looked like we were going to have a Jessica Barnett situation with Shayna, Kyle, and Shane. We knew the reason why Shayna said yes to Kyle was for 2 reasons: to either try to get at Shane or to get a free trip to Mexico. Because if you remember in season 1, Jessica said yes to Mark. Everyone in the universe knew that there was no way Jessica was marrying Mark.
Right.
Time after time, Jessica shot her shot at Barnett. Did you? Because I know you mentioned this earlier, but do you think that Shayna wanted a chance at Shane, or did that go by the wayside because Shane dug his heels and said, "No, look, man, I'm with Natalie. I'm not trying to get with Shayna."
Yeah. She took her shot. There was a scene where she did her best to kind of get in between them.
Yeah.
I think Shane played that the best way he could. I mean, that wasn't, he had committed to Natalie, at that point, you can't really flip flop on that. And he dug his heels in, and, maybe if that relationship wasn't as strong as it was at the time, he would have changed his mind. But at that point, he still wanted to try it out with Natalie.
Right.
I will say though, as I kind of saw things progress past that point and even up until now, Natalie ran all over that guy. She's not so innocent. She is not so innocent. If anything, Shane, he's got his problems like we talked about. He's not the most reliable guy, but Natalie like stomped on the guy. Exactly. Like Natalie chewed him up and spit him out. But then because she's in this like Mean Girls club where they're all kind of like backing each other up, like she comes out looking all rosy.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say Natalie might be the most malicious person on the whole show. Wow. I would go as far as to say that. Some of the things that went on behind the scenes, I don't know. I just can't look at her the same. Like, I think she is the sneakiest. I think she is probably the complete opposite of me, where I have a good heart, but I say the dumbest shit. Okay. I think she's the sneakiest snake in the grass, but she really knows how to talk. You know what I mean? She knows how to say the right stuff. Yes. And, she's got these girls that'll kind of like clan with her. Yes. Whereas the guys on my side, I can't count on. Right. I mean, I wish my castmates, like, again, weren't a bunch of simps, but I mean, that's what I got.
This is how American women are, Shake. This has been a crash course for you. Modern women are very, very good at putting forth a perception of I'm one way, but behind the scenes they are quite another. Is there anything that prevents you from talking about the stuff that happened behind the scenes that makes you think that Natalie was sneaky, or do we need to stay away from that for contractual purposes?
Yeah, there's some contractual things, but like, I'm trying to think of. Okay, yeah, you know what? Fuck it.
Let's do it.
So here's some tea for you guys. Right. You saw how Natalie like said no to Shane at the altar, and it was like this whole ordeal and everything. Okay. You could tell that Shane was into Natalie, wanted to marry her, like his heart was there. The night before, Natalie had recorded a video on a cell phone that production had given us. Mm-hmm. And she essentially said that, like, not only that she doesn't want to marry Shane, mm-hmm. but like he's unstable. He needs like psychiatric help. Yeah. Like all this type of stuff that, like, I get it. If you don't want to marry somebody, like, just say no. Just say no. Yeah. But like, she was trying to wreck his life. Jesus Christ, like the sort of stuff she was going on record to say, like, it's like it could affect somebody's ability to get a job. Like, it was like some truly, truly heinous stuff. Wow. But also, so she recorded that.
Okay.
I wasn't supposed to see that, but I ended up getting the same cell phone to record my video, and they never wiped They never wiped it.
Oh
So
my
I did Shane a solid and I deleted it. But like I
God.
saw the video because I didn't want that shit to get out for Shane. Shane was my boy, right?
Right.
And then so she records that video. Then she goes over and she sleeps with Shane
Of course she does.
the night before the wedding to like lead him on. Little does Shane know that she recorded this freaking awful video about him.
Oh my
right?
God.
So then I call Shane up. I'm like, dude, I saw this video. Like, this is what the deal is.
What
and
did he
he
say?
starts sobbing on the phone. He starts crying because
man.
he has his own issues, but he wanted to marry her. He
Really,
you know,
yeah.
but like, can you like think about how diabolical that is?
Yes. Somebody makes a video that could potentially make you look really, really bad, come and have sex with you, and then you hear about it that same night. That had to crush him. Because he looked,
and this is after she had said no. So like he's already feeling low, but I'm like, bro, like this is the video I found just so like I wanted him to know like who he's dealing with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did they reconcile after that, or was that it?
Shane, man, he like gave her so many chances. I'm like, dude, after that video, I don't see how you could even, you know, I wanted him to know, like, hey, this is what she's capable of, dude. Like, yeah, she said no to you and she might be nice to you, but like, this isn't the sort of girl.
And he still threw you under the bus at the reunion after all of that.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Yeah. We knew. Now, here's the thing between you and me and all, however many hundreds of people are watching, whatever Natalie said on that video, probably true. Yeah, Shane is a little unstable. He's unreliable. He's got some issues. He probably has a substance abuse.
You know,
you don't need to put that out there, right?
I gave you a PG-13 version of the stuff she said. And I agree with you. Like, yes, some of it is true. Sure. But at the end of the day, are you trying to why would you go on record to say something like that? Like, you could just say, you know, I'm not ready. He's not ready. He's not mature enough. You could end it like that with respect. Like, she tried to ruin him. She tried to make him unemployable. That wasn't unnecessary. That was completely unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything that he did to her that would make her want to do that? Maybe there's something you don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if that was the case, how does she go sleep with him after recording that video?
We're still trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. This is insanity. This is, oh my God. DJ BFit. Oh, he says, we were pissed when they started jumping Shake during breakdown. I remember how pissed Donovan was. I think he ended the stream. Yeah, I was absolutely very, 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 very pissed. Mallory and Jarrett. Now, obviously Jarrett and Ayanna ended up getting married, but my audience, for whatever reason, we thought that Mallory and Jarrett would end up getting together because there was a clear attraction between those two. And I forgot what the other guy's name was that Mallory ended up with.
Sal.
Sal was the schoolboy assassin for sure. What happened between Mallory and Jarrett after the pods? Was there a chance that they could get together, or is that just played up by the show?
They shared that scene in Mexico, and obviously you guys saw that like there was still something there. Yes. But I will say this, Jarrett committed to Ayanna. Okay. I did not like how they treated me on the reunion, but that does not mean that he's not like a faithful guy.
Okay. Right. Very good. So you're not friends with anybody you're not friends with any of the castmates at this point?
Not really. Honestly, the person that I see most eye to eye with from all this is probably Shayna. Because we're both, because she got kind of a bad, I mean, she did do some sneaky stuff, but like, I wouldn't say she has a bad heart. Okay. You know what I mean? Like Shayna, I'd put her in the category of easily manipulated by producers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's blonde.
But she doesn't have a bad heart.
Okay.
Right? Very but good. Some of these other people, it's very obvious that they're like doing the manipulation themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
unbelievable. Shayna manipulated by the cast, by the producers. So let's talk about your personal life here, your personal professional life. So how long have you lived in Miami, and why did you decide to move from Chicago to Miami other than the fucking weather?
Yeah, the weather was a huge factor,
Of course.
obviously. Meeting Emily here, that hastened my decision. I was thinking about kind of moving down over the next year.
Yeah.
Meeting her, she already had a great place. It was like a easy thing to kind of plug into.
Yeah.
And Chicago's been my home for so long. I feel like I've done so much there. I was ready for a change.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Chicago will always be home in the summertime, especially.
Oh, there you go.
We've been back a ton this summer for a couple weddings. We're actually headed back in 2 weeks for another wedding.
Okay.
But Miami's full of opportunity, and the weather's great, and the people here. I feel like the people here understand me more from I mean, Miami's, kind of a superficial place. Like the people here, they value their appearance and they don't make any, qualms about it.
I think everywhere values their opinion, values their appearance, but Miami doesn't make any apologies for it.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly.
I absolutely love Miami. Dude, I'm gonna tell you what, I cannot move to Miami because it would be very bad for my relationship. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it would be very, very bad for my relationship.
That's fair.
Are you still a vet in Miami? Do you have your own vet practice there as well?
So I recently got my Florida license.
Oh,
and
good.
I've been doing house calls. So just to keep my license active, and because I do love the animals.
Sure.
So it's a nice way to keep in touch with my skills and do what I enjoy.
Okay.
But my real project right now, it's a Web3 based project called Your Digital Pet.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you're into NFTs or blockchain technology in any great capacity.
Yeah, I've got a couple of really good friends of mine, Charlie and Miguel. They are huge into crypto, so I'm very familiar with that stuff. Tell me about the project.
Yeah, so it's called Your Digital Pet. And what we're doing is we're digitally recreating people's pets into 3D forms to be used in the metaverse. So, in fact, we're developing a metaverse of our own. We're calling it the Petaverse.
Oh, I like it.
And yeah, it's something that, even if I heard a year ago, would have sounded so incredibly far-fetched, but there's a great demand for this type of thing. And we have a team of about 6 right now, in addition to our developers in Korea. And we're forming some big partnerships, and you're going to see over the next month, we're doing our soft launch, and you'll see a lot more of our assets released. But if you take a look at yourdigitalpet.com, you can get a good idea of what it is we're working on. And
pet.com. Let me ask you this while I look this up. Do you get recognized in public?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, really? So,
yeah.
and what's the reception like? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it mixed? How are you?
It's 90% positive.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very rare that somebody has something negative to say.
Okay.
For the most part, it's a lot of like, hey man, you were the realest guy on the show. Like you kept it real. And hey, that makes me feel great.
Good.
Yeah, like the next level Tamagotchi. Exactly. But the cool thing is each pet on here is designed after your actual pet. So if you have a dog, cat, pig, horse, whatever it may be, we'll create a digital avatar for your pet. And then they're the Tamagotchi. So
it's so cool. So
yeah, you can take a look down there.
Yeah,
a lot of cool stuff in development.
Oh, so here's a corgi. Wow. Why did you become a vet in the first place? I mean, obviously a love of animals, correct?
Yeah. So to me, I always grew up with dogs, and they were always more than just pets. They were a part of the family.
Okay.
And I ended up working for a veterinarian who lived in my parents' neighborhood. And, I thought he was the coolest guy ever because he was working on dogs, cats, exotic animals, birds, bald eagles, sometimes wolves, mountain lions from the local zoo. And I thought it was incredible to be able to help so many different animals, so many different creatures. And I thought it was a little bit cooler than people who I think can be kind of gross sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt. Yeah, this says Shake That Concept is amazing, like next level Tamagotchi. Wow,
Thank you.
this is incredible. So this is what's next. This is what's next for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. Like I said, we got the podcast, Life is Blurry, doing house calls kind of on a selective basis, and just really loving Miami. I mean, you'll have to let me know when you're down here. I can't wait to link up in person.
100%, dude. I'll be down there later this month, man. I'll shoot you a text and let you know, because I'll be down there for a little while. So I guess to sort of sum this all up, I think you have definitely won. For all of the public hate that you got, you now live in Miami. You've started another business. You have a hot new girlfriend, and you win. For all the hate that you get, you win.
Yeah.
It's just, I think the thing that I learned, and I had no idea about most of the stuff you said, I think the big takeaway from this, and most people do understand this, Shake, but there's so much that happens behind the scenes that the producers don't put out there. This interview has completely changed your perception as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to make sure that bits of this get out everywhere, so at least you get a fair shake in the media, no pun intended.
I appreciate that. And because it's been a little while since the show came out, I was a little bit more free discussing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, and it's the right audience. I know you guys have my back, and,
Good.
I think we're totally on the same wavelength. So I felt very comfortable sharing this with you.
Good.
Thanks for having me, Donovan. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Shake, ladies and gentlemen, so your name is Abhishek Chatterjee?
Abhishek Chatterjee. Yep.
Oh, Abhishek Chatterjee. Oh, okay. I totally butchered that. Well, I think I'm just going to stay with Shake.
Yeah.
Shake, again, thank you very, very much for making time for us today, man. And dude, you and I will definitely be talking soon, man.
Awesome. Can't wait. All right. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Shake. I totally butchered his name, but man, what an interview that was. Holy shit, man. Holy smokes. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. Shake's a good dude. He did his level best to take care of Deeps. He wanted to make sure that she didn't get humiliated. He looked out for Shane. He's picking him up at all hours of the night. Shane realized he fucked up, but he still ghosted Shake a couple of times. Everybody turned on Shake for no other reason but that they thought it was the right thing to do. Shake clearly was fucking producers, Jay Blaze is absolutely correct. Thank you guys very, very much for tuning into this. You will definitely see me and Shake down in Miami, man. That's for sure. That is so cool that he lives in Miami. Wow. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.